The first tinsel. It was Christmas Eve, and at last everything was quiet. The children had finally forced themselves to sleep. Mother and father were snoring away, exhausted in their bed. And even the mice were snuggled safe in their holes. So that's when the spiders came out, crawling through the crack in the corner of the ceiling. "The coast is clear," called Mr. Spider. "I'm coming as fast as I can," called his wife in return. It was the same every night. They would anchor 2 long, sticky strands to the ceiling and swing across the room down to the floor on the other side. Then they would snip the silky strands and explore. Up and down the curtains they would go, over and under each chair. And if, along the way, they happened to stumble across a wandering fly or a wayward ant, then they would enjoy a midnight snack as well. "Hold on tight," said Mr. Spider. "8 legs worth," said Mrs. Spider in return. And with a leap and a yahoo, the spiders sailed across the room. They should have reached the far end of the room, just as normal. But it was Christmas Eve, remember? So instead of landing on the floor, they crashed into something tall and prickly. "It's a tree," called Mr. Spider. "I'm pretty sure it's a tree." "But it wasn't here last night," wondered Mrs. Spider. "How did it grow so fast?" "Perhaps we should explore it," suggested Mr. Spider. "Excellent," Mrs. Spider agreed. And then, licking her lips, she added, "I hear that grubs live in trees, and I haven't eaten a grub in a long time." So the spiders crawled down the tree. They started from the star at the top. Mr. Spider went one way, Mrs. Spider went the other. And they were both so excited that they forgot about snipping off the long strands of webbing that trailed behind them. "Look, here's an orange," called Mr. Spider. "And an apple," replied his wife. There were pine cones and candles and bows and bells as well. It was a tree full of surprises. But suddenly, just as they reached the bottom, the lights in the room flickered on. So Mr. and Mrs. Spider did what any sensible spiders would. They skittered far under the tree and into the darkest shadow they could find. At first, they could only see boots, big black boots with white fur around the tops. Then there were hands, white-gloved hands thrusting huge bright boxes right in front of their spider faces. Then there was a chuckling and the odd deep "ho, ho, ho." And finally, from that same deep voice there boomed a "What's this?" The man with the black boots and the white gloves stood back and looked at the tree. And then he laughed again. Another "ho, ho, ho." "A spider's been here," he chuckled, "and left its web all up and down and around this tree. It's a lovely decoration. It just needs... Yes, that's it." And he touched the web with the tip of his white-gloved hand. All at once, the web turned to silver from the point where he touched it and all around the tree. When the man had gone and it was dark again, the spiders crawled out from their hiding place. They looked up at the tree and at their web, now glistening like silver. "It's beautiful," said Mr. Spider. "A wonder," said Mrs. Spider in return. And some say that's how the very first tinsel came to be.